Hi, everyone. This is Kir Noel from How We Heal, the podcast. Sorry we got started late. We had technical difficulties. So, we're here today to start and launch this live stream, a place where we talk about some of those insightful experiences I've had hosting the podcast, How We Heal, which is available on all platforms iTunes, Spotify, and here on YouTube. And you can like, subscribe, and follow. There's even a link on our iTunes page for subscription by fees and get special event invitations. So today we're going to be sharing about how, the people I've seen and interviewed on my podcast, the wonderful souls who've come along and met with us and shared their stories, have some of the common traits that I think are very prevalent in our society, very hopeful in many people, and kind of take us above and beyond the mainstream of trauma and drama that we get to witness every day if we're locked into our phones and the news streaming platforms. So I've met all these wonderful people. They've come on the podcast. They've listened, to their own inner voice. They become who they are. They actively participate in the world, and they bring themselves. They bring this large, you know, bold view, myself included in that kind of ideology. It's just a choice some of us make. You might be making in your life to say, "Hey, I have a way of looking at life, and I'm going to speak about it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to care so deeply about it. I'm going to create." Opportunities for other people to be with me and hear what I think. I'm going to share it in form of stories, in a form of art. I'm going to share it on in books I write. I'm going to share it in group events that I create. I'm going to share it in the church I work in. I mean, I've had some amazing people come and share their stories. And if you look at my website, not my website, my podcast, which is online in all platforms, you're going to see the variety of people that have spoken and continue to speak. And what I'm looking to do, and I hope is resonating for people, is that we are not powerless, that we have a choice, that we can do things to bring out the hope and the good and the teaching that we can give each other, and we can elevate the conversation. And that's the choice we always have. Let's take the bad news and not make it good, but let's take the bad news and say, okay, that exists, that's going on. I'm horrified. I want to definitely protest about it. I want to call people about it. I want to write letters about it. And all that is something on my daily to do function. And what can I do about it? And when I ask myself, what can I do about it? And I did a little bit of time spent and quiet time in my case. I heard to do this podcast I started, and it's something that's brand new to me, and I'm talking about it this way because there are a lot of things that at any age in our lives for us to start are daunting. They just are. This is probably one of them. I'm surprised how much technological challenge I've had. Learning new platforms, trying to be relevant, to be focused and purposeful. How do you do that? And how do you do it? And after a lifetime of really focusing on so many other things and staying, in the now and present for the other work you want to do as well. But I'm here to tell you that if someone like me can do this, then anyone can do it. It's kind of my life story. I've always been a person that exemplifies, we're not sure you can do this. And then I say, yeah, watch me. So do something right now in your life that you believe gives voice to who you are and it's from your heart. The only reason I have uh, pushed myself and decided to move forward and doing anything of this nature is it's my heart saying I'm not sitting on my hands. I'm not sitting on my hands right now. It takes a lot of courage to bring your voice. Everyone I've ever worked with, and I've worked with thousands of people as a medical intuitive, have an enormous amount of courage to face who they are, to face their truth, to be who they are. But courage isn't enough. You need to have courage, and I needed also to have a lot of supports in my life, a lot of people, I call them my mirrors, people who look at me when can't even see myself and go, "Oh, no, you can do this. You can do this." And I have so much of that, which is amazing. They don't usually say it that loud and clear, but in many ways, and subtle and unwritten and unsaid, sometimes it's just a good hug or a smile. I get the message. This is just who you are, Kier. Not everyone's going to like what you say. Not everyone's going to agree with what you say. You should say it anyway. So that's what I'm here to tell everyone. Please, say it anyway. You don't have to not everyone has to like what you say. It's certainly not your job to convince anyone. It's not mine. But do it anyway. But ideally, you want to have people in your team and your world around you who go, "Hey, Susan. Hey, Peter. Hey, Mally. You got something to say, and we want to hear it. And why don't you just say it already?" And I think of myself in my own early, of course, it's all about me, but on my little childhood drama, and there was no voice in my ear saying, "You're amazing. Just be who you are." It came into my ear in my adult life, and usually it was my own voice or my therapist. So this is a long road getting here. I also want to say that when you are able to activate yourself to be who you are, to bring your message and go ahead, put your feet on the gas. It takes a lot of work to bring your message, no matter who you are, how you do it. It's worth it. And so when you're in that place and you're doing that, what could and does happen, and you might have illness. Many of us have some familial inherited genetic disease. Some of us have other conditions that we're born with or we struggle with. But when you bring your heart into your life, when you use your heart and you use your view and you say, "This is how I see it, I want to tell you." And it's some form of platform you do that, whether it's, and I can mention a few, but there's writing, art, um, doing trainings, going on a podcast, expressing yourself in many, many, many ways. And it can be expressing yourself in community, in groups, and in a public way or not. I do invite people to do it in community at the very least to help others understand there are many ways to see the world and many ways to live in the world, that it brings kind of a peaceful inner balance. So even though I'm sitting here for the first time late on this live web, broadcast, um, it's not unnerving me. It's making me feel very empowered and grounded and incredibly strong and capable, which is counterintuitive because the mind in my own place, if I sat down and told you I was thinking of doing this and I didn't do it, I could certainly create many scenarios where I shouldn't do it. So when you have an idea and you have a voice, then you have the ingredients for being who you are in the world, for giving it voice, for giving it a chance. There's so many places we need to hear voices of view and incorporating a human sensibility, the conscience, that crazy word, the conscience, that we all have, we're all guided by. I just did an interview with Father Frank, and he says there are many people who don't have a conscience. I'm not sure I believe that. I tend to believe they haven't wanted to find it, so they don't look for it. They choose many direct ways to kind of uh, ignore it, is what I would say. I think we all have that. And if we can, bring that powerful, individual, heartfelt view. And I'm going to share a little bit about what does that mean, the view. So the view of of each individual is so unique. It's we each have this like specific way of seeing life. Based on some of it is based on our circumstances growing up. A lot of it could be based on the way we've been educated, our surroundings, our country of origin, our family structure. But in many cases, and as we get older and really get in touch with maybe the sensibility of an individual, of who we are as people on our own in this world, those voices that we bring are I think are just so incredibly unique and ready to bring a new idea. When I say your view is unique to your internal and external ability to sense the world around you. And as I know that the people in my life who I ask them questions that are very direct. I want to know, um, how do they feel about something? How does it affect them? These are words in my day-to-day language with friends because I've been taught and I've learned that the most powerful thing you have to share is the way you see the world. So what I see in the world today is a large number of us are quiet, and that's a little frightening to me. I think our quietness is um, our acceptance. And I know there's so much more that we all fear and think and feel and sense, and it's not being spoken. So if I want to, this is a platform that has required me to spend a huge amount of personal time. I did it with great love and joy. I loved the time I've spent doing it. I've struggled around balancing that with my partnerships and my partner in particular. And I know that it's a sacrifice in my family when I'm not available a lot more, and I appreciate that. And but I think it's so important that we all do something now that brings hope, that brings connection. So I want to speak about this idea that every one of us is struggling. So in my which will air on Sunday, my podcast with Father Frank, I say that we're all struggling, and I meant everyone, including someone who does not have my political beliefs or acts in ways that I consider inhuman at times. But there's something really wrong. Okay. There's something so wrong currently that there's something really broken about the way we connect or communicate. And so I'm asking myself, well, if you can't bring your heart into this world and give it in some real, authentic way, what is the point? What is your point? I didn't come here, to live and in isolation for sure. I got lucky and I was adopted as a young child at 10 months old into a family with three other adoptive children, into a chaotic, um, basically people who didn't know what they were doing kind of environment. Not bad intentions, but just no strong capability. It created a struggle as a child that taught me to not feel things aren't safe. And so as an adult, I've had to find that safety in myself. Um, so, that view I have isn't tainted by a trauma. It's informed by that. It's informed with the trauma. And I understand that that I could have looked at life in a very negative way. I totally understand that. I could have said, "Oh, look what happened to me. I had a hard time, and they all left. My parents died over 35 years ago. And I've had this hard adult life trying to grow and become healthy in my heart and healthy and love myself. And I could have said, I can't take anymore. I'm out, I'm hiding, somewhere, and maybe have a screen in front of my face every day and play video games. There's nothing wrong with video games per se as a distraction, but to live my life doing that would not be living. And so I chose. I chose to say, no, this is this is not what you really are here to do. You are ready to evolve, you're ready to grow. And I've been looking for teachers my whole life and I've found them. And for anyone who's listening and who's thinking about their own personal growth and development, you can continue to really strongly develop and create incredibly new things in your life that incredibly new means they're probably a lot of hard work, but wow, what an amazing thing to continue to have that journey of development and really get to be in the world and do what you do. So I don't, my audience, I don't share about this at all until today we're sharing, but this entire project of the podcast and has been me self-supporting myself, because I believe that it's time to bring it. Okay. Bring your voice, bring your news, bring your view, bring your unique, spirited way of seeing the world. Don't hide in the shadows, don't hide on a screen. And if you're on a screen, use the screen. If you like Instagram and cat videos and which I do, but then create something that people can use to help themselves find themselves and heal and grow. If you have any questions, you can send them right now in the chat. I'm looking forward to them. I see that Rosemary said, thank you, Rosemary Ibarra. She said, love your message. I so appreciate that. And it's so great that you're here. Um, thanks. Hi, Rosemary. I like to watch several short videos about the current conditions in the world. And I love watching them. And then I see, 450,000 followers and 500,000 followers. And I'm like, but I'm not disheartened. I mean, it just takes one, it just takes one. So my voice has been given wings to fly by me and the world and technology. Find yours, give it wings to fly. So it's a short introduction to live production with Kir Noel, medical intuitive today. Hopefully come back, have more people listening. Here's some questions. We'll have some conversations. And you'll ask me more, maybe you'll ask questions about what am I talking about? What am I talking about? She's telling me to have a view. Bring my view. Heartfelt. I want to do a heartfelt work thing. I'm going to go home tonight and build a universe that's different, a new universe. Good. Please do. So thanks for joining me. It's been really good to see Rosemary and myself on the screen. No, I'm not a narcissist, but that was a strange statement. So, yeah. All right. I'm so glad to be here. So glad you are here with me and look forward to seeing you next week. Bye. Same time, same place. Bye.